I'm Dean Newland, and welcome to Leadovation. Reimagine, facilitate, flourish. This podcast is dedicated to the art and science of innovative leadership. Through insightful interviews with industry experts, I bring you cutting-edge strategies and experiences of innovative leadership, helping you think differently, act strategically, and achieve remarkable results. Join me as I provide insights and tools that empower you to make smarter decisions, forge meaningful relationships. Welcome to Leadovation. Only about 1/3 of employees are engaged at work, and disengagement may be costing organizations up to 8.4% of their annual revenue through turnover, inefficiency, and lost productivity. Today's guest, Ryan Englin, believes the problem isn't lazy employees. It's cultures where people don't feel valued or developed or cared for. In this conversation, Ryan shares why employees leave managers, not companies, why workplace friendships matter more than most leaders realize, and 2 simple actions that can dramatically improve engagement: regular pulse surveys and consistent performance feedback. Ryan, it's really great to have you talking about a subject that I think is never out of style when it comes to business and leadership, and that is the subject of engagement. I don't mean putting a ring on one's finger. I mean something else. Would you start us off with defining what that really means for you so that at least we have the right definition as we get into this conversation? Yeah. What is engagement?
I say this. When you have an engaged workforce, they want to work for you and they want to continue working for you. That's how we define engagement. Are they excited to show up every single day and do the work for you? And if they are, they're an engaged workforce.
Is engagement the extra effort one puts into their job beyond the minimum requirements?
That's an outcome of engagement, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the identifying issues that no one else is identifying. It's saying, you know what? No one's doing that thing, so I'm going to go do it. It's I care about this business, and what's going on right here is bad for the business, so let me elevate that up to people who can take care of it. Those are outcomes of engaged employees.
So I think in your bio, there's some information I found about you that you were talking about your father, right? How does your father's experience, maybe share with us what that was, how does that relate to you deciding to really focus in this topic?
Yeah. So my dad's owned a blue-collar business. I grew up in a blue-collar family. My dad was an owner-operator, had the same dream as most entrepreneurs of, I'm going to make more money, I'm going to work less, I'm going to have a better lifestyle. And then they wake up 10 years later and they go, this sucks. My business has consumed me. I have a brick phone. I remember my dad coming up with his brick phone. He was so excited he had the brick phone because now he didn't have to sit next to that landline. For those of you youngins out there, we used to have phones that were plugged into the wall. He didn't have to sit next to that when he knew that people were working. He could now go out, travel, do other things. And I always thought that my dad worked so hard because he didn't know how to bring in new business. I grew up hearing that cash is king. Like cash solves so many problems in business. And so when I decided not to go in the family business, just for the record, because I watched what it did to him and I was like, no way. So I went and got my degree, got into corporate, realized I wasn't a corporate man, and started my own business. And I wanted to help people like my dad, who I thought had a customer acquisition problem. So I started a marketing company, and I worked with companies like my dad's to help them generate more business, to get customers to come back in the door, to get customers to stick around longer, to retain them. A couple years in, and my clients would come to me and say, leads are great. I don't have the people to do the work. So turn the leads off. Well, I said, and this is one of the things I believe. I believe that recruiting is not an HR activity. I believe recruiting is a marketing activity. And so,
ooh, that's a good one. Underline that one, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm like, I own a marketing company. Let me just go recruit techs for you. So that's what I did. was really good at it.
So go back
And,
to before you skip on back to your dad, you threw out that great little phrase about recruitment is not a HR function, it's a marketing function. Why? I mean, we have people who are calling up or trying to understand what the market is. I mean, there are people who are involved in recruiting
sure.
who are setting up interviews. We've got AI helping us out with that. But why are you saying it's a marketing? I think I know where you're going, but finish the sentence.
So think about this. Think about recruiting as the marketing activity and the interview as the sales activity. Okay, just think about that for a second. Just draw those lines. In selling, cold calling is not a sales activity. Cold calling is a marketing activity. It's about generating interest into a certain group of people. We do the same thing in recruiting. We put our ads out there. We call them job ads, not job descriptions, because it's an advertisement showing people the opportunity that exists if they come join our team. And in exchange, they will get rewarded. Well, it's no different than the ad that I put out there to show a customer that if they give us money, we will reward them with great service or a new product or whatever it is. It's the same thing. We are getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right information to get them to raise their hand and say, I'm interested. That's what marketing is. That's what recruiting is. So recruiting is really a marketing activity. It's one of the reasons that HR teams can't solve the recruiting problem. Because their belief is if I just make more cold calls, which is what recruiters do, right? They get on LinkedIn and they cold call people. If I just make more cold calls. But that's not the way to solve your recruiting problems. It's a very expensive way to support recruiting, but it's not the way you solve it.
All right, then how do you solve it?
Well, here's the thing. If you're struggling to get people to apply for your jobs or to accept your offerings, your job offerings, I want you to take a step back and I want you to ask yourself, would you want to work for you? If you only find people who aren't very talented, who aren't very engaged, it might be that you're not attractive to the people who are talented or the people who are engaged. So if you look at the recruiting solution as become attractive to the people you want to attract, that's like marketing speak, you can solve the recruiting problem because the candidates are not on Indeed. They're not on LinkedIn. They're not there. They're at work, working for somebody else, keeping their head down, going, hey, I'm making a good living. My boss didn't piss me off today. I'm going to hang out here. They're not looking for work. So what we have to do is we have to attract them when they go, but I'd be open for the right opportunity, which 70% of Americans are open to the right opportunity.
And is that the right opportunity? I mean, less about money, but more about culture, more about what we notice in the engagement levels of the people that are working there?
Yeah, people don't leave jobs, they leave people. Remember that. We all know that to be true. People don't leave for more money. They leave because you started lying to them and you didn't give them the promotion or the raise you promised or the hours you promised. Or you told them you were going to fix the labor problem and the overtime would go away. Or you told them that you were going to be getting new equipment and they watched you get a new truck, but they didn't get a new truck. Right? Those are the reasons people leave. Or I love this one. I years ago, I did an exit interview and this woman left the company and she goes, I've waited 2.5 years for my initial 90-day review.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was part of the things that they talked about. I like to feedback. I like to know how I'm doing. 2.5 years later, she's like, it's never coming. I'm out.
Wow. Well, that was just funny that you were talking about this subject because I was just on a coaching call with a guy over at a healthcare organization. He said, I just got a call from a place that wants to hire me and they're willing to pay me $150,000 to $200,000 more than what I'm making now to do actually less work. And I said, are you going to take it? He says, hell no. I like where I'm at. So your point.
I'm glad we got that on record because that's a lot of money. And he said,
it's a ton.
No.
I was like going, really? You're not even no. I mean, I love this work. And so we ended up having a conversation about how he needs to probably negotiate a higher,
a little bit more money.
A little bit more money. But that wasn't really the point of the conversation. The point was that his engagement was very, very high. I mean, and he is being rewarded for that with new work. But Your point's taken. People leave people. They don't leave companies. They don't leave so much the paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's never about the money. I can't say absolutely never, because there are times when, you know what, I just found out that my wife's pregnant with twins and now we got to buy a new house. But you know
Right.
what?
Right.
If I'm engaged, I go to my boss and I say, hey, Dean, I just found out, celebration, I'm having twins. But here's the deal. I need to buy a house, and
Yeah.
I either have to figure out how to make more money here so I can afford a new house, or I'm going to have to go somewhere else to make more money. Which one do you want? An engaged employee would come to their manager and say, have that conversation.
So, Ryan, engagement is not a new topic. I mean, every organization, a lot of organizations have even engagement surveys, and they get ranked against other companies and best places to work. You know, that's
Yeah.
another way of saying, are people engaged or not? What is your take on engagement that may not be the mainstream idea?
Well, I think we all have this kind of subconscious idea of what engagement is. Like, we could describe it through outcomes like we did when we started. Like, is this an outcome of engagement? We can describe it like that, but no one can ever say it. I really think Gallup's Q12 survey is an amazing way to measure engagement.
100%. And just so those who don't know, would you please provide a little bit of background on that?
Yeah. So
I agree.
For those of you who don't know who Gallup is, they are a gigantic international research firm, and they study human performance, human engagement. They study recruiting and retention. They study all these employment things, and they do, I don't know how many data points they get, millions of data points every single year. And they have a survey called the Q12, although I think it's the 16 now. They keep adding to it, but the Q12 is what they've trademarked. It's 12 yes or no questions. That's it. It takes 2 minutes, 90 seconds for one of your employees to take this. It's 12 yes or no questions, and it's based on the employee's hierarchy of needs. So the first questions are the baseline things, like, do they know what's expected of them? Like, if your employee doesn't know what's expected of them, it's really hard to be engaged. It's something I don't even know about. And they continue to go up, up, and up. But one of the things that I love about the Q12 is question number 10. They have shown that an employee that says yes to question number 10 is 6 times more likely to be engaged than an employee who says no. And I think we get too hung up on what's the overall data show. Forget the other 11 questions. I want to focus on question number 10, and I want to solve that problem. And question
all right, so now you've
10,
got me really interested. What's question number 10?
You beat me to it. I was just going to tell you.
Like, wait a minute, you're dangling it out in front of me.
I have a best friend at work.
I was wondering whether that was it.
That's it.
Because that was what was in my head. So I have a best friend at work was question number 10.
Yeah. And if someone says yes, they are 6 times more likely to engage. Why? Because we like to work with people we like. That's it.
Yes.
And it's why employee referral programs work so well to bring in great new employees, because you get bake in a best friend. It's why mentoring programs for new employees work so well, because you almost force them to make a best friend. Now, I'm not saying this is their lifelong best friend, deepest, darkest secrets, childhood thing. It's just when they go to work, they have someone they're excited to see. That's what we got to do. And I think it's very counter to the way we think about it, because so many, especially in the SMB space, we think, no, I pay these people to work. I don't pay them to hang out with their friends. I don't pay them to have a good time. I pay them to work. And I'm sure that carries through in the enterprise and everything else. You know what, though? If you would just say, hey, you know what? 2 hours a week, I pay you to make a friend. I pay you to spend time with your friends 2 hours a week. Productivity would go through the roof. You'd get more out of that 2 hours of them not producing, working on friendships, working on community, working on relationships, than you would if you just kept pushing them to work, 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 work.
So here's a real situation that I would love for you to respond to. Talking to a company, they've had some tough times. They've had to do some reduction of force. They're just barely now making it in terms of some margin. They're not spending any energy towards culture or engagement. It's all about just making sure that we've got enough money at the end of the month to be able to pay people. That's a large organization, right? So what's the argument for creating engaged work a work staff, a workforce at a time when we have to be really budget concerned?
Well, let's look at what's most likely happening.
Because
So
I
you know
have
that
my own
there's
thoughts on it, but I was wondering what you think.
so let's look at what's happening. So you know that there's budget issues. There's been a riff recently, which means other people who are there know there are budget issues, know there are concerns about profitability, know that they might not have a job in 6 months if things don't turn around. And they realize that they probably have very little control in the outcome of this. There's probably just a few key people that can make the right decisions. So those people go home at night. Do you think that they're excited to come back to work tomorrow?
I don't think so.
Do you think they're thinking about the extra thing they can do to help, the extra thing they can identify that can fix the profitability issue? No. They're sitting here going, I better dust off that resume. Maybe AI can help me write one. I'm going to call some friends and see if they know anybody that's hiring. They've completely disengaged because you've got leadership who's focused on the wrong things right now.
I 100% agree. And that was my warning to this person I was talking to. I said, listen, we don't know each other that well. However, I'm just going to tell it to you straight. This ship is going to sink if you don't start dealing with the culture and the engagement issue. It'll become your biggest problem at some point.
Yeah.
I think he understands that. So you had said prior to this conversation that in the relationship between employer and employee, the engagement responsibility is on the employer.
Mm-hmm.
Say more about that.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk in the media loves to sell newspapers, right? Although I just dated myself. Whatever it is these days, clicks. Right? The media loves to sell that.
Stone tablets, right?
Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads. I remember that saying.
Well, exactly. My dad was a reporter, and that's what he would talk about. The same thing. Yep.
So they love the doom and gloom. They just do. And they've convinced us that we have an entire generation of workers who are quiet quitting or whatever other catchy little thing that rolls off the tongue. They've convinced us that we have a whole generation of lazy people that have no desire to work, that just want to collect unemployment or whatever other government benefits there are. And we believe this because we see our colleagues, other owners in our industry dealing with the same thing we're dealing with. And so there's this belief that nobody wants to work. Nobody's coming into the industry. We can't find good people. They're all just lazy. And I think what happened was, I know we probably haven't talked about this in a while, but COVID really kind of ripped down this veil that we used to have. For the longest time, employers had convinced the job market that we care about you, that we are doing the best things in your interest. And I think COVID kind of tore that curtain down, and they looked around and they said, wait, you don't care about me at all. And so what it did was it showed employees that they have options. I've known so many people that tell me, like, I used to make $100,000 a year programming for this company and they laid me off, and now I drive Uber. I make $80,000 a year, but I get to set my own schedule. And so it showed the employees that they have options. And during this time, I would say the majority of industries have not thought, how do we recover from the problems that we created during that? How do we recover from all this media negative talk? You see, we don't have a bunch of employees who don't want to work. We have a bunch of employers who treat their people like crap. And employees are wise to us now.
I get it. But when we say, though, that we can't find good people because they are lazy, we could start naming off some sort of generation that might represent that point of view. I think we just look to our own kids and our kids' friends and be able to form some sort of an opinion about the workforce that is the same age as they are. Isn't there something to be said for the fact that some generations have a different value structure, that they don't want to put themselves through the ringer like they saw their parents do? They do want to have work-life balance. And if you provide me the opportunity, I probably will work my ass off. But if not, I will check out.
Yeah, but I did some research on this. Did you know that when the Gen Xers were late teens and early 20s, everybody thought they were lazy and didn't want to work? Did you know that
That's what's-
people used to think the boomers were lazy and didn't want to work when they
Oh,
were in their
really?
late teens and
Against the
20s?
greatest generation? Okay.
It's not a generational issue. It's a decade of life issue. When you're 40 years old and you've got kids at home and you've got a house that you can't be lazy anymore.
Yeah.
But when your parents allow you to sleep in their basement until you're 30, and then they're like, all right, it's time to get a life and get out of here. Guess what? People are going to be more responsible. I mean, think about what people were saying about the hippies in the 60s and the 70s. That's not a Gen Z thing, okay?
To your point. So are you making the statement, Ryan, that we demonize a certain generation in order to remove our own responsibility for creating workforces that are engaging? That we can just simply say, well, it's not us, it's the generation.
I was just going to say, it's easier to blame than it is to take responsibility for the problem. Absolutely, 100%. Some of the hardest workers I know are 20 years old.
Yeah, but it's a very stark thing you said, though, about companies. I mean, I'd have to believe, and I can even point to some that we know that really do focus on culture. I mean, we're very attracted to working with organizations like that and less attractive to those that don't.
Yeah.
But what is if this is a pervasive thing that's been going on for a long time, why is this happening? Well, I mean, what's the reason to promote engagement, have those engagement scores, and yet not really walk the talk?
So I think regardless of the industry you're in, the world is different now today than it was 5 years ago, than it was 25 years ago, than it was 50 years ago. The world is different. And I think too often, the larger we get, the slower we are to adapt to change. I know a company that they were call center. They were outsourced call center for customer service for all these companies. They could not get people to stay for a full shift. They couldn't get people to answer enough calls. They were struggling like crazy. And of course, who works call center, right? It's all high school, college kids.
Right.
They couldn't get
Your
it
first
figured
job.
out. So you know what they did? They got rid of the no phone at your, no cell phone at your cube policy. They got rid of it. They said, let's see what happens. They let these kids set up their cell phone and watch their South Korean soap operas or whatever they're into, right? And they just set up there and they said, as long as no one else can hear it, you can watch whatever you want on your phone.
Huh.
Productivity went through the roof.
Really?
People were like, can I get some extra hours? Because they're like, I got 3 episodes left. Can I get more time? Because what we did was we met them where they're at.
Huh.
Like, I didn't grow up with a cell phone in my hand.
No,
I had to wait until Saturday morning to watch TV.
Me too.
If I wanted to watch TV, I either had to record it on a VCR or that was it when I grew up.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up in a world where all the information I wanted was at my fingertips anytime I wanted it. Yeah. These kids grow up in a world with limitless distractions and noise. In fact, when you ask them to focus on something, they struggle with that because they're used to something in this ear, something in this ear, something to look at here, something to look at here. They're looking at all of that. They're used to that. You put them in and you focus it and it's quiet, they think something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So there are ways to adapt to the modern workforce. Now, we do a lot of work in construction. You can't have kids on their phones during construction site. Like,
right, safety issue.
Do that. But there are things you can do. Like, there's some engagement software that we're really big fans of. It's almost like creating an internal social media for your team. And they can use this. And they can talk to their friends at work, and they can talk. You can share information with the whole team, and it's not just top-down communication; it's bottom-up communication too. And these engagement tools are really great. And the younger generation gets on them when they're at home, when they're not being paid, because they have friends at work, and this is how they connect with them.
That's interesting. So, what other things are you seeing that has been successful for companies to increase their engagement of their employees? You just mentioned a couple. What else?
Yeah. So I mentioned that one of the first questions on the Q12 was, I know what's expected of me at work. And it's amazing to me how many people miss that. You see, so we do a lot of work in construction and the trades. And so if I have a crane operator coming to work, I make the assumption that a crane operator knows how to be a crane operator, knows what a crane operator does. I don't need to spend a lot of time with them. I'm going to show them the crane, be safe, give them some safety training, and go. But you know what? The way that I want to do a construction job or the way someone else does a construction job is completely different. We forget that this person didn't grow up here. They don't know it like we do. So we spend no time, number one, setting proper expectations. And number two, giving them feedback real time as to what's going on. We wait until annual reviews and so we say, hey, yeah, you're not getting a raise this year because for the last 9 months, you've sucked at your job. And the employee's like, that's information that would have been great 9 months ago. But we don't do that. You want to engage your employees, say, hey, here's what I expect of you. When you're not meeting my expectations, I'm going to tell you right away. Not because you're in trouble, but just to tell you, hey, let's dial things in. Let's move things around a little bit. And then as you continue to start meeting my expectations, I want to talk about how I can meet yours. Career path, new opportunities for more money, new opportunities, in different roles or different responsibilities. As soon as you show me that you can do the work and meet my expectations, I want to sit here and meet yours and say, how can I give you a better quality of life? But we don't do that. We're too busy. Yeah. We're too short-staffed. No one wants to work anyways, so why invest the time? They're just going to leave us. I heard that one this morning. I don't want to train anybody anymore because I train them and they leave. Give them a reason to stay.
Yeah.
Don't stop training because that's the problem. Give them a reason to stay. And they're like, well, what's that? Like, that's the problem right there. We've never put any mental power towards it.
A lot of companies have their own version of the Q12. They ask a lot of different questions and so forth. But I've noticed that sometimes they go out and have these engagement initiatives to interview or have people fill out. They might get, 40, 50% turnaround if they're lucky.
Yeah.
But then I notice sometimes that they don't do anything with the information.
Oh.
So now I've invested some time to fill out an engagement survey. I never found out what the results were. I'm the employee, and you never did anything with it.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you just caused me to be less engaged in the process of determining whether I wasn't or is engaged.
And I'm not going to fill out your survey next time because I know it's just going to go into a black hole.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally. Or I'm afraid of the confidentiality or all the other stuff.
We have our own version. Ours is only 8 questions. We have our own version. It's only 8 questions. Because when you got people in the field, when you got frontline employees, I don't want them spending a long time filling out a long survey. So we found the 8 questions that are most relevant. And when it comes back, we actually have a system now where the survey results come in. We analyze the survey results. We draft a report for the client. And then we say, here are your 2 opportunities for you to fix. And here are the emails for you to send to your team to say, we heard you. This is what we're doing. So before you send those emails, make sure you're committed to what I'm about to commit you to. And you know what happens? 98% of the time, they send the email as is. We heard you. This is what we were planning to do about it. And here's how you can hold us accountable. That's what's in the email. But 100%.
Do you support that process of having them follow through on their action items?
Absolutely.
Yeah, good.
Absolutely. We do a lot. So I'm 5 behaviors certified, if you're familiar with the 5 behaviors.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, trust is everything.
Yeah.
I don't leave you because I leave you because I don't trust you. That's what it is.
Right.
And when you tell me you're going to do something and you don't do something, guess what that just did? That's not an integrity problem. That's a trust problem.
Yeah.
I don't trust you anymore. Absolutely. You must follow through and you must actually do it. I've seen a lot where they'll send the email and then they do nothing.
Right.
And so we actually draft the email in such a way and says, and here's how you hold us accountable to this. And there are people, the engaged ones, that'll say, hey, boss, you told me you were going to do this. It's been 3 months. Why isn't it done yet?
So what does that look like, though, in terms of the doing something? Is it a committee? Is it do you have an after action review with the team that you can roll up the engagement scores to? I mean, what's the process of taking the information and doing something with it? What does the doing something with it look like?
It's not talking about it more. It's not a committee. It's not rolling it up to executives. It's not a meeting, because we can talk about the problem or we can solve the problem. And we already know what problem we need to solve. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Which would come out of the survey results.
came out of the survey results. Our employees already told us what we need to know. We don't need to talk about it.
We don't need to talk about it anymore. That's
Let's
so
just
good.
fix it. And so one of the challenges that we run into is there's usually a committee because no one single person has all the authority to do whatever they need to do.
Right.
And so before we roll out any of these surveys, that's the first thing. Who's responsible for owning the results of this survey and the action items assigned to it? One person, not a committee, not a group of people, not a meeting. We're done talking. Let's go fix it. And a lot of times the stuff that we recommend based on how the survey results come in, for example, let's just go back to Q12 because we can all look that up. I have a best friend at work. Comes back, nobody has best friend at work. Our recommendation is we're now going to start a buddy program. Everybody gets a buddy. And what do we do with this buddy program? Well, there's a few different options for it, but one of them might just be, hey, you know what? Anybody that's participating in the buddy program, we're going to bring in lunch every Friday and you get to have lunch with your buddy, get to know each other better. That's it. It costs very little money. I guess it depends on how big you are. Almost no effort. It's a phone call to cater Chipotle or whatever, right? Almost no effort. But you only get to participate if you and your buddy eat lunch together. It's something simple. It sounds cheesy, but you know what? You want to create a best friend at work? That's how you do it. You give them opportunities to create a best friend at work.
If it's proprietary, then fine. Don't answer the question. But can you share what those 8 are?
If you let me look them up real quick.
Yeah, sure.
I don't have memorized. I've been doing the 8 as long as we did the Q12. But yeah, I can do that. And I actually don't think any of our stuff should be proprietary. Anybody can have whatever they want. It's whether or not they'll do it is the challenge.
Right. Exactly.
Right? That's the big thing.
Anybody can come up with a list of questions that might all be pretty good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what those are in just a second. So, but what we did was we took the Q12 and we said, what are the ones that really drive results? What are the ones that really make a difference? So I have the tools and equipment I need to do my job safely. Very easy. I'm supported. My manager gives me clear direction. I feel recognized for the work I do. I would recommend this as a good place to work. And this one, I went to the 5-question survey. So we have different levels of surveys too, because a lot of times people, what they want to do is they want to do like a micro survey. They say, hey, you know what? Let's dig into this one question. Can we send 37 questions all open-ended and see what they tell us? No. So, and ours is rating 1 to 5. We don't do yes or no. I like 1 to 5. And then I always like a open-ended, like why. You know, you've heard of NPS. I just had this conversation this morning explaining NPS to someone. They're like, well, that's a neat question. I go, NPS by itself is horrible because I don't know why they chose that.
why they chose the 1 to 10 net promoter score you're talking about.
Why did you call me? Why are you a passive? Tell me why you're a 7.
Right.
Why did you pick that one?
Yeah.
So there's just different ways to look at it. And when we're doing surveys, I want to make sure that people understand you don't get in trouble for telling us the truth. So there is training and coaching that goes into this before you send out a survey. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't surveyed your people in the last 3 months, expect them to look around at each other and go, what is going on? Why do they suddenly care what I think? Why do they want my opinion all of a sudden? And if I give them my opinion, am I in trouble? What comes out of this? And so a lot of times people, they hold back. I tell people, if you start surveying once a quarter, that's my recommendation, once a quarter. If you started surveying once a quarter, your 5th survey you send is the first one you can really start to believe.
Believe the answers?
Yeah, believe the results. Because you can tell people, so it's interesting, Q12, people ask all the time, they're like, ooh, they're going to know who I am.
Right.
And Gallup calls their surveys confidential, which means Gallup knows who said what, but they won't tell me who said what.
Right.
Versus anonymous, which people are like, Big Brother's watching. There is no anonymous. Right. And so what they do is they pencil whip it. They, yeah. Or they ignore it. You had said, what, 40% is what people respond?
Yep.
And you know who's not responding? This is the best part. Guess who's not responding?
Those that are upset.
Those that aren't engaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Why bother?
You need to be engaged to fill out an engagement survey. I love the poetic justice.
Oh my gosh. And the people that are engaged are not going to give us the stuff we need to fix.
100%. Yep.
We need the people who are disengaged. So, we had one company and we said, hey, I want you guys to do the engagement surveys in the huddle. And so we had the team leads, the supervisors, just go around, ask the questions right there.
That's great.
Do
I
something
love it. Real time. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we get so hung up on we're so busy. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to work. Why invest? Why bother? Well, that's why we have the problem we have.
Right.
We wouldn't have this problem if we spent a little bit more time caring about the things that were important to them.
So Ryan, nationally or even internationally, where are we at relative to engagement? I mean, I think Gallup just came up with another one just recently that I read. It's the lowest it's been for I think the last 4 or 5, 6 years.
Yeah.
What have you seen? What do the stats tell us right now?
32% of employees are engaged in the United States, 20% worldwide.
Wow.
So engaged is the symptoms, like we talked about, the outcomes, the symptoms of engagement, right? These are the people you wish you had more of. These are the people that show up and take on the hard stuff. They're the ones that are solving the problems. They're the ones that are figuring things out for you. They're the ones that are saying, hey boss, you're not going to believe this. A recruiter just called me, offered me $200,000 more a year to come work for them. And you know what I told them? Take a hike. I'm happy.
Yes.
By the way, we need to talk about my salary, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Those are the engaged ones. We want more of them.
So I'm a CFO. I'm a number cruncher. I hear this. It sounds kind of interesting, but give me some dollars and cents. What does it bring into the company or save the company if I have, increase my engagement scores by 15, 20, 30%? What is the ROI of all this?
So the ROI on increasing a specific score or whatnot is really hard because it depends on the scores. But let me tell you this. I did a bunch of math, and I did some math in the United States. And here's what I found. On average, doesn't matter the industry, 8.4% of your revenue is lost to disengagement.
8.4% of your revenue is lost by disengagement. But so what level of disengagement are we talking about?
This is just average based on Gallup's numbers.
Okay.
I based it off of Gallup's numbers. So I did a bunch of math. And so think about it. If you were a $100 million a year company,
yes,
that means you lost $8.4 million in profit. Because it's not like that money needed to go somewhere else.
Right. So this is not top line. You're talking about bottom line profit.
8.4% of your top line is what you lose in profit.
Okay. Got it.
So, and the disengagement shows up in a few different things, and we base it on a few different numbers, but one of them that almost nobody pays attention to is rework.
Say more about that.
So when people are disengaged, we've already talked about, they don't care. When they don't care, they don't do their best work. When they don't do their best work, quality control or quality assurance comes in and says, we need to fix the work. So now someone who is engaged has to do the work, which means now you're taking a producing, profitable employee off of the work they're doing to fix the work that a non-producing, non-profitable, disengaged employee did the first time. And in manufacturing, we track this a little bit, especially when material waste is involved. But you know what? If we're in the medical field, we don't track it. How often does somebody else need to go check on that patient? What did that cost us? Right? Oh, we've got to redo the intake forms. We don't track that stuff. Oh, somebody just typoed. Did they really typo or did they just not care? Like, we don't track rework. And rework, I think, is one of the most expensive things. Voluntary turnover is another one. So if you're not tracking your voluntary turnover, there's real dollars and cents there. The overtime is often a symptom of
Say more.
disengagement.
What do you mean? So how is that a symptom of disengagement?
Well, if you don't have people who are producing at their best level, they're inefficient. I just had this conversation with my wife over lunch. I said, we don't have as much of a staffing shortage problem as people would like you to think. We have an inefficiency problem in a lot of businesses. That inefficiency leads to overtime. We had a company we were working with, and they were a subcontractor, and they ended up, I was working through their P&L. It was almost $1 million in overtime they spent.
Wow.
And I said, what's going on? Because that's right off the bottom line. Like overtime is not budget, of course, right off the bottom line.
Right.
And I said, what's going on? They said, well, the contractors mandate we work the overtime because they sold a tighter schedule than what's realistic with the regular work week. So why are you paying for that? That's a great question.
Yeah, really.
So they got the courage and they went to every contractor and they said, here's the deal. We'll give you 5 man hours per person overtime every single week. Anything over that is not approved. We will not work it unless you authorize paying us for it. You know how many contractors said no? Zero said no. They said, well, we sold it an accelerated schedule, so we're going to pay you the overtime.
Right.
So for them, overtime was not a function of disengagement, but they were spending the money like it was. And when they went to the root of the problem, they're like, why are we paying for this? And the contractors were like, we'll pay it. And there were some contractors that said no. And they said, great. We shut down in 45 hours. They said, okay. But so there are numbers. Like I said, voluntary turnover, people that quit, is another one. And then the big number we like to look at is what's the revenue per employee, because that's the easiest way to determine efficiency. Your revenue per employee should be going up.
You don't hear
Is
that
there a
very
right
often.
number? There's not a right number.
Whether or not they're in a cost center, whether or not they're in a revenue center, it's all you're basing it on that. I like
Still
that.
spending the money, right?
Yeah, right. No matter what. Right.
And yeah, I've never been a fan of the, we separate burden and overhead into, cost center. I'm like, well, sales has to pay for that. So why don't we just mix them all together?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we like to run that. We like to look at revenue per employee and we want to see it go up. There's no right rule or percentage, but it shouldn't be going down. I can tell you that.
That's right. That's right. Very good. So if I'm a manager listening to this and I understand that maybe I do have a problem with engagement on my team, what are 2 or 3 things that I should be doing?
Well, the first, we've already talked about all of them, so I'm just going to repeat some of the things we're talking about.
So what really rises to the top for you?
Oh, the pulse survey, the quarterly survey. Okay. What's going on? Real quick. 8, 10, 12 questions. Yes, no, scale of 1 to 5. Make it easy for them. That's the first thing. The second thing, if you're not doing quarterly performance reviews or evaluations or even just conversations, start them. And if you don't have the leaders in place, like I get this pushback. Oh, well, I've got 37 people I'd have to do them for. Why? Well, all of my supervisors don't know how to do them. Well, there you go. Yeah. Start doing it with the supervisors, set the example, train them to do it, get them to start doing it. Your people need to know where they stand. You need to know where they stand. I think if you just did those 2 things, the results are they're transformative.
It's interesting that you started bringing into, where we are nationally in terms of engagement. I mean, what would that, I don't even know the answer. Maybe you do, but what would that do to our GDP?
Oh, it's trillions of dollars a year.
I mean, totally.
Trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
And, I don't even worry about the GDP. What can it do to an industry or what can it do to the couple of companies we work with? I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, it's huge.
What happens. Great. And we work with a lot of very low margin industries. I mean, when you're in a point where you're happy to net 5% at the end of the year.
Right.
When I increase you 50% and you go to 7%, you're industry leading now.
Well, exactly. We do a lot of healthcare work, and those who are doing extremely well are making 6, maybe 7% margin. Those are the top dogs.
Yeah.
A lot of them are hovering around 2, 3, 4% maybe.
Oh, so
and it's
painful.
only getting worse. It's one of the only industries where you can't really choose your own cost. I mean, your own structure for how you get paid. You're paid by employers, the government, and so forth.
Yeah.
You can't set your own rates.
Well, that's a lot of construction too. It's all set by the GCs. So unless you're at the top, unless you're a top dog and you're the GC, you just take what they're willing to pay.
Right.
So it's It's interesting. And unfortunately, it makes things harder because when
Yeah.
I'm running at 2-3%, I can't pay better than the market average.
No,
I
you can't.
can't really
No.
entice people.
Yeah.
And so I have to find other ways to bring value to them. I have to find other ways to show them that I care about not just the work they do, but that their life. I have to be
Right.
able to do those things because I don't have the money. And that's
That's
a
right.
lot of what we work on too with these is how do we make it so that they aren't driven by the money, like the example you gave earlier.
Yeah. Well, I think that Gallup poll or whatever major poll that just came out over the last 2 months, but we're down to the lowest we've been for a long time. And if they were able to wheedle it down just to one word that seems to be the root cause of this lack of engagement, and you already said it, I don't feel cared for.
Mhm.
And we
Yep.
leave people, we don't leave companies.
Yeah.
It's relationships. It's that best friend at work. It's all the stuff you've been talking about.
One of the things that really stood out to me is the highest levels of disengagement right now are in the middle management.
Mm,
You want someone who doesn't feel cared for.
right.
It's the individual contributor there that you promoted into a leadership role because you were hoping they'd do more. And then
Yeah.
you figure they were amazing at sales. They're going to be an awesome sales manager.
Right.
And then you leave them. And then
Yes.
they are overwhelmed and they have no clue what they're doing and they do
Right.
not feel cared for.
That's so common.
Oh, well, they call it the Peter principle. Like they named it. It
Yeah.
happens often enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is a really great conversation. How can people, Ryan, find out more about you, your work?
Yeah. So you can go to corematters.com. That's our website. We've got an engagement calculator on there if you want to plug in some numbers and see what engagement might be costing you.
Mm,
We've got resources, we've got training, we've got downloads just to help. I want to help as many people as I can. And then for those of you that are like, hey, this is awesome that you've given me stuff to do. I want someone to come do it. You can learn all about how you can work with us.
and you got a podcast too, don't you?
We do. Titans of the Trades. It's the podcast. It's where we share stories of inspiration and hope for people that are in the trades. A lot of these owners, like my dad, just are overwhelmed and they're just ready to give
Yeah.
up. So we do that. And then very active on LinkedIn as well. Share a lot of my
Good.
content on LinkedIn.
Great. Well, Ryan, thanks so much. It's been great.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. If you found value in today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review our show on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It helps more people discover Leadervation and this kind of conversation. And if you're looking to strengthen leadership, culture, or team performance in your organization, you can learn more about working with me and Mission Facilitators International at mfileadership.com.